I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode 673. This is the Indie Report. I'm your host, David L. Rhodes. Hopefully I'll have Brandon King here. Jeffrey Johnson and Tariq Wilson are currently on assignment. They might pop in, probably not. You know, those brothers are very busy. I just wanted to before I do the intro, I wanted to give a quick shout out to No Chill Sports. I was on their show earlier this week with the HU Pirate Ship talking about the predictions from A&T. Maybe I'll have some discussion points about that during the show today. But welcome to episode 673 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora. All things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture and HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, David L. Rhodes. We are filming live from our home studios and sending a signal live to our KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Fame, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. I hope everybody's having an outstanding week so far. It is Wednesday. We've had some interesting news that came out the pike today. One of the big stories of the day was the fact that the CIAA announced that they are going to be in Baltimore, Maryland for their tournament for the next couple of years. Let me pull that up real quick. See if everything works properly. Let's see here. So, I mean, there's been talks of it and there's been reports of it, but the article came out today. They officially extends their Baltimore partnership through 2029. Over $109 million in economic impact for the city of Baltimore while it was in the tournament in 2022 to 2025, which is amazing in itself. The 2025 tournament alone pumped $27.4 million into Baltimore's economy, created 1,500 jobs, and pulled in $2.4 million in state and local tax revenue. So the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, has been doing a phenomenal job from that standpoint. And I quote, "The tournament isn't just about basketball games. It's a celebration of Black culture, Black history, and Black excellence." They also have an education day and a career expo and a fan fest as well. I went one of the years when they were in Baltimore, and it was outstanding. And that's how I felt when the bidding came out, that I knew it was going to be very difficult for another city to take that from them. So I'm not shocked at it one bit from that standpoint, but shout out to the CIAA for getting this done, and it's a phenomenal job for them. Now, that being said, some other news of the day that we have, I would like to shout out to, and I want to, and when Brandon comes today, I'm going to have a discussion about this, but Tennessee State, they reached a deal with the state of Tennessee. They almost got $100 million for the next 3 years for operational support. The funds were originally designated for deferred maintenance, but now will strengthen the day-to-day university operations. I will say that's great, and that's a good first step, but the state of Tennessee owes them much more money than that. When we talk about athletics and NIL and things of that sort, and just to get everything that the students need, they absolutely need to go ahead and just pay their tab, so to speak, with regards to the state of Tennessee. But they're not alone from that regard. There's multiple states in this country that hasn't done a phenomenal job when it comes to making sure that the land grant universities are getting their fair share. And shout out to to my alma mater, North Carolina A&T. They recently just announced that they got approved for Aerospace engineering program that's going to be under the Department of Mechanical Engineering at A&T. Phenomenal timing with phenomenal timing considering the recent announcement of them with Jet Zero coming to Greensboro, and A&T was a big factor in getting them done. Getting them there is going to be a $44.7 billion aerospace investment that's going to happen in the Greensboro Triad area. So, and A&T as a university is going to benefit from that from the standpoint of getting of folks potentially getting work there and things of that sort. So it should be really good. And Johnny Thornton, shout out to you, sir. I think it's gonna be there. I think Baltimore is gonna have that tournament for as long as they want to have that tournament in Baltimore, in the CIAA tournament, in my opinion. I don't see a scenario where they're just gonna give that up. Because when you have events that stimulate the economy like that, those are hard for a city. Those events are hard to give away. That's why, like, when Charlotte let that one walk out of the door, I said, y'all probably ain't getting that one back. I think a lot of folks are waiting for Baltimore to not get it done, but they've been doing everything and more welcoming and they love it. The CI, from what I understand, the folks, the conference loves the tournament being there. And it's pretty set up pretty well. Like the 1 year that I did go, I stayed at a hotel that was like walking distance from the basketball arena. So you pretty much are right in the action, and the prices were reasonable. So it was excellent from that regard. All right. So yes, I just talked about our aerospace and aeronautical degree. It's not whatever it's called. Yeah, and it's funny because that getting approved for that has been over a decade in the making. They've been working to try to get this degree for a very long time, but I think the time is immaculate with the Jet Zero announcement as well, with them bringing 14,000 jobs and $4.7 billion into the economy. So, and it was great that A&T was at the forefront of pushing to make sure that happened from that regard. So it's big. It's big for the university. And it's big for HBCUs. Shout out to Chuck Hunt. How you doing, sir? All right. I'm trying to give my brother Brandon King a little bit of time. I'm trying to hold off, but he said he's going to be able to make it, so hopefully he'll get in here. But I'm going to take the first break, and we'll be back on the other side. And I'm going to talk about the predictions that I discussed on No Chill Sports earlier this week. I was on their show on Monday, and I'm going to just have a discussion point about it for a little bit, give you guys my thoughts about why I feel how I feel about A&T and Hampton too. So we'll be right back after this break.
Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACTalents.com.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode 673. This is the Indie Report. I am your host, David L. Rhodes. I wanted to discuss a little bit of what happened on HBCU Hour, and I want to apologize as well for those who did watch the show, and shout out to Pooh. I was on a train heading back from New York to head back the road out from New York and heading back home, and I told myself I was going to hop on if I could hop on. Internet wasn't as kind as it should have been, but I was still able to get it done. And we got into discussions about the expectations for our roster and our team this year. I think from Hampton's perspective, they expect to fight to make the FCS playoffs, which I completely understand from that regard. I think it's going to be critical that they get some of those early wins for Hampton. They have a manageable schedule. They showed last year they're able to go up against they're able to compete against top 25 opponents. They pretty much lost to two of them by less than a possession, and I still think they should have beat Rhode Island last year. But however, I think they got their head coach in Boykin, and I think that they are going to be very competitive in that conference this year. So hopefully they see they'll get the next step with them taking the interim tag off their current coach. Now as for A&T, I want my Aggies to be cautiously optimistic and temper expectations of what this season is going to look like. And I say that because there was a lot of turnover from a roster standpoint. You got a brand new coach, brand new coaching staff, a new scheme that's got to be learned. And while I feel like the CA, and I'll pull A&T schedule up real fast. And although I do feel like the CAA conference schedule this season is probably the easiest one they've had up to this point, I still think it's going to be an uphill battle for Coach Sean Gibbs and the crew. I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to be more competitive. And hopefully I think they'll get their first conference win. But in that regard, outside of that, I think this season is about growth more than anything else. I know they're going to try to win a championship. I just think that the talent disparity and the timeline is going to be fascinating to see how well they play this upcoming season. And speaking of the devil, I think we got Brandon here. Brandon, what's going on, man? Oh, he's not quite ready. All right, I'll let him out. I'll let him go for now. But I see him. He's backstage, so we'll give him a minute. But overall, I think. And let me pull up the skid real fast. Oh, he's got two going. All right, let's see what we got going here. There he is. Okay. Mr. King.
How's it going, my brother?
What's going on, man? All right. I'm going to pivot back to talk about the news about what's going on with Tennessee State, man. It looks like you guys about to get some money. Or they're reallocating the money.
Yeah. I mean, look, I guess it's a good thing because, $96 million is better than nothing. So I won't poo-poo on it too much. It's a far cry from the billions that we're owed. So hopefully this is at least a step in the right direction. Because infrastructure is something. At least attention to that is something that's vitally needed. So looking at it from that standpoint, I guess the good thing that we're finally getting the resources that we need to address some of those issues um, that's happening. So I'm going to look at it as the glass half full instead of half empty. So
It's more like a quarter empty, but or like 75%
yeah,
empty, really. But
yeah, it really is.
nah, yeah. I mean, universities got to keep fighting to try to get their money. But it's good that because I know initially that was for like construction projects, and now they're letting you guys spend the money where you absolutely need it, which is operating,
Yeah,
which is good.
because and I can't remember. I may have mentioned this on a previous show because when Eddie George was there, he had mentioned this that they had gotten some uh, several millions, tens of millions of dollars that was directed to TSU, and he was saying that there was like limits that they were being told specifically how they had to use the money. It was like we giving you money, but it's all these strings attached to it. You couldn't use it for for new buildings because at that time enrollment was shooting up and in space for these incoming students was a major issue at that time. And it was like, well, you can't use it to build new buildings. You can only use it to support existing infrastructure. It was like, you still, even when you get some money, from that standpoint, you're still operating with one hand tied behind your back. So, but like I said, it's good that we're getting at least some of something, considering the financial issues that that we're going through down at 3,500. So,
Yeah, I was wondering, man. I'm gonna send your info to my man Pooh because I don't know if he's got somebody for Tennessee State. He's been doing HBCU hour. He
okay,
does it on Mondays and Thursdays. Myself and HU Powership hopped on Monday to talk about A&T and Hampton, and I got on the record saying at most 4 wins for A&T. That's what I got on the record for. At most 4 wins.
really,
They were trying to get me to 6, 7, and I wouldn't allow it. I wouldn't allow it.
I got to look at who are the what are the four you're looking at?
All right. I'll pull up the schedule. You probably can't see it here, but I'll pull up the schedule real fast. Give me 1 second. Let me see here. While get my technology, get my bearings right. Let's
Because
see here.
technology is a beautiful thing until it doesn't work.
One thing, listen, and I was very clear when I said this when we started discussing it. The key's gonna be game one. Oh, I ain't even sharing yet. The key's gonna be game one against you guys, against Tennessee State. If we it is critical that we win that game against you guys on August 30th in the John Merritt Classic. It is critical. Because we're going against Central Florida and Orlando. That's the money game. That's the dollar bill y'all game. Then we
Yeah,
got Hampton. Hampton's the home opener, which is a premium game. Or maybe I'll talk about the premium game thing since HBCU Game Day won to write article. I'll probably have a discussion about that too. But so it's a premium game, but it's also the home opener. Um, you know, I think that we're going to be more competitive than what we were last year. But Hampton's a really good team. We have not beaten Hampton since they've left the MEAC in football. Have not beaten them since they left the MEAC. So I put that one down as a possible. School down the road is hard for me to admit. They should win, but I think it's going to be more competitive than the last one because it's in Greensboro. That's another premium game, but that's Aggie Eagles. That's a rivalry game. So
yeah,
we tend to put those there. I think that if we don't beat Hampton on the 13th, we will get our first conference win in Orono, Maine, against Maine. I think we'll go up there and get it done. I don't think we can beat William and Mary. I think that they're too good, man. They're ridiculous. I think South Carolina State is going to take a step back, so I expect us to beat them at homecoming. Campbell should be better this year. That's going to be a tough one for us to win, even at home. Townsend is going to be pretty good this year as well. Stony Brook's probably going to be ranked in the top 25. So those are gonna be those three that trifecta is gonna be a rough stretch. Um, and then we play Monmouth, which isn't gonna be a slouch either. And then we close out the season at Elon, and I think Elon is a possibility because Elon's lost a lot of people, lost a lot of players. So from that regard, I don't know. I don't know if it's the timing of why we're playing Hampton at home again. I mean, I know we're gonna play them every year, and it might have been like a payback game from the homecoming that they had to leave when they left the conference abruptly when they went from the Big South to the CAA. I have no idea. But yeah, because the last time we played them in the Big South, it was on the road. We went to them, and then we play and we played them again at their homecoming. And this is their first time being at our place. That was our first last year. Was their first time being at our place in a couple of years. So we'll see. I'm kind of fascinated to see how that goes. But either way, it'll probably be back and forth after this. But yeah, 2 years in a row, I was kind of surprised by it myself that we got them at home 2 years in a row. But it's a conference game, so CAA controls all that.
That's true. That's interesting. Yeah, 4. That's.
I mean, I like the 4 I'm looking at is Elon, South Carolina State, Maine, and we're gonna get one of these two. Oh, Maine and you guys, Tennessee State. Those are the 4 I'm looking at. And I'm like iffy on both of these, like Hampton and school down the road, but we'll see, man. Like they're both at home, so I know we got a puncher's chance because it's at home, and we're gonna probably have some pretty strong crowds. Our season ticket sales are really good right now, so we got 6 home games this year.
Yeah, y'all may have a chance to get us. That first game. I'm not 100% like. If y'all were to beat us, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, the sky is falling. I mean, and we lost a lot,
Yep.
a whole lot, and both from a skill position standpoint, and then up front, picking on the offensive line, and the guys they brought in, they're young, a lot of youth, so in particular, and that includes the quarterback position. So, and I think that was one of the reasons we were able to advance as far as we had solid play at the quarterback position. We finally had Draylen secure that position, and then we were able to run the ball and play defense. But you've lost so much of that engine. I really don't know. I know Coach Barlow's got to get his guys in there. So I don't know. The blue and white game. I didn't even pay attention to it just because so many of those guys used to, a lot of those guys may
Did
not
y'all have a
be.
game? We didn't even have a game. We only had 6 healthy offensive linemen, so we didn't really have much of a game.
So so like I said, it would definitely not surprise me if y'all were to come to Nashville and win that game, because there's just so much uncertainty, from having a new coach and kind of bringing so many, new guys, and that's going to take time to gel. And so,
Oh, it's the same. We're in the same boat a little bit, man. Because like when we let go of the Coach Brown, there were some folks that hopped into the portal. There were some folks that came and went and left. Because I heard that some players quit the team when the new coach showed up. So there was a lot of there was a lot of things a lot of changes that happened. From that aspect of it all. So we got some new pieces. Then we already lost 2 of our quarterbacks already potentially for the one, definitely for the season. So it's not so sure about KJ yet, but he broke his leg the day before the spring game, right? I mean, we picked up a quarterback, Champ Long, that made all the headlines from Maryland, but it's going to be interesting to see what we look like. But I stand by what we look like. How the game against Tennessee State goes is going to be critical to the season. Because I think the big thing that our program has to learn right now is learn how to win again. And I think that's why I think that first game is going to be critical. Like I went on record saying we could go 1-11 again, or we can win 4 games.
Yeah.
Like it could be that bad, and if we do go 1, and I don't anticipate we are, but if we do that again, the fan base better have some patience because it's going to take some time to fix this. It's going to take some time, man. Even with all these CAA teams going to the Patriot, it's still going to take some time because there's still some pretty good teams still left in that conference, contrary to what everybody thinks. Like there's some pretty good teams still in that conference. Like Rhode Island was a top 25 team. Stony Brook was a top 25 team. There's still some really good teams left in that conference on the football side. So like I know folks always talk about it. I'm like, yeah, there's still some pretty good squads on there. New Hampshire recently was a top 25 team. Like they're still in the conference.
Yeah, that schedule. I think that 3-game stretch, y'all ain't. It's not a walk in the park.
Well, let me pull up Hampton's. Let me show you what Payne looks like. Hampton's got a rough one, I think. Hampton's got a pretty tough one. Let's see if I can pull it up real fast. Actually, you know what? I want to take a break. Get a commercial in real quick. All right, so we'll be right back right after this commercial break, and we'll go over Hampton after the break.
There's a shot.
That might be.
It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. All you guys at BCSN, we really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEAC SWAC Challenge.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to episode 673 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Where I have Brandon King here with me, and here's Hampton's schedule, guys. We're going to go over Tennessee State as well. I don't know how much pain you're willing to take, but we'll go over Tennessee State's schedule as well. All right. So here we go, man. I know it's super early. I mean, because it is June, but, you know, the speculation is fun. So, look, man, they open up the season going to Jackson, Mississippi against Jackson State. And I said this on Monday, and I'll reiterate it again. I don't think this game is going to be like a lot of folks are saying that Jackson State's going to blow Hampton out. I think this game is going to be much closer than folks are going to give it credit for. And And if somehow, I expect Jackson State to win this game, but I think this is probably going to be the toughest FCS opponent they play all year. And if somehow, if Hampton pulls this off, oh my goodness, there'll be some debates coming in these streets so fast because everybody's I expect Jackson State to win the SWAC.
Yeah.
Like I expect them to go undefeated in the SWAC, and I expect them to win the SWAC. So if they come in here and Hampton pulls this upset, they're going to consider it an upset. If it does happen, it's going to be some fascinating discussions. If Jackson State decides to run the table and win the Celebration Bowl, some fascinating discussions.
Oh yeah.
Fascinating discussions. Yeah. All right, and then they get their home opener against Liberty State. Get the Division II fix in. Then you got A&T. We talked about that game. That's going to be an interesting one. Then they got the Battle of HU, and then they get into the thick of conference play. They got Elon, Norfolk. They got the rivalry game against Norfolk, which is going to be crazy. Michael Vick. That's going to be crazy. His wife is a pirate, so that's going to be insane. That's going to be insane. Then they got Campbell, Villanova. That's going to be a tough game, man. At Villanova at that, that's going to be tough. This is their last year in the conference. Then you got Monmouth, which is going to be another tough one. They should be able to beat Maine at home. Then they got William and Mary, and they close out in Rhode Island. I'm going to try to go to this game. This is about 30 minutes from where I live, so I'm going to try to go to that game when they play Rhode Island, which is going to be another tough one.
That is tough.
Yeah, that closer is tough, man. And to pick William and Mary for senior day is asking for it, I will say. But at least it'll be at home. They tend to play way better at home. So I mean, they got some of their tougher opponents at home, which helps, but that Villanova game, man, that's gonna be a rough one for them. That's gonna be a rough one. But they should be able to beat Elon. They should be able to beat Campbell. I'm gonna roll 50-50 with A&T, but we'll see. They'll be competitive against Monmouth. They'll beat Maine. So they're gonna have to pull an upset either with Monmouth or maybe William Mary's gonna be tough at home, man. That's gonna be tough. William Mary's so good. I mean, I could see them getting 4 or 5 conference wins. If they beat Jackson State, they beat Howard, they beat Norfolk. I mean, that's 7 wins. 7 wins, that ain't bad. 7-5, that ain't bad. Well, 8, right? Because they'll beat Liberty City. They'll beat Liberty City State, but that doesn't count towards playoff contention.
Nah.
But 11 Division I games, they win 7. They'll be in the discussion. Depending on the 7 that they get.
That would be a whale of a season for them.
Oh yeah, it would be. It absolutely would be. I mean, I just think the key for them, because the big thing that Tariq kept saying was playoffs. We got to make the playoffs. They got to get at least 7 wins. 8 will probably get them in. 7 Division I wins will probably get them in, likely, because the conference has still got, and if they're competitive against Villanova, they got a shot. So it'll be interesting to see how they do this year.
And
Any thoughts?
I'm not too familiar with their roster. I don't know how much they lost in terms of that they've got coming back. But last year, you look at some of the games that they let slip through their fingers.
Oh my God, man!
You pick up 2 or 3 of those, and it's not you're probably in the playoffs. Or at the very least, we're sitting here talking about how did Hampton not make the postseason, considering the season that they had. I mean, they let a couple slip through. So the hope would be is that they have taken those lessons from those lumps last year, and they can apply them and be a better football team. And if they're in those situations again, maybe they can pull out some of those wins. And like I said, with some of the other teams that are on the schedule, they can get those, and you're potentially talking about being in the discussion to play some postseason football.
So, to put it in perspective about how their schedule went last year, they lost by less than 3 points to Morgan.
Yep.
They got blown away by William and Mary, but they should have beat Rhode Island at home. They lost that game in overtime by less than 3 points, and they were in a one possession game against Villanova. So you're talking about being competitive in like top 25 games. They beat Elon, which should have been expected. They beat us, but that's a whole different discussion point. And they were 3 points away from beating Richmond as well. So they can compete in this conference. It's clear that they can compete. I'm just gonna I'm answering the question. Like they went 5-7 last year, but you're talking about 3 one possession games against ranked opponents. Like they can compete in this conference. They should have beat Albany too, but that's a whole different discussion. They can compete in this conference. Like they can do it. They lost 4 straight to close out the season, but they can absolutely compete in this conference. So that's why when I have this discussion point about, I think folks automatically assume that Jackson's going to blow them out the water. I'm like, I don't think it's that clean, guys. I just don't. That's why I said it's probably going to be their tough. That's going to be Jackson State's toughest FCS opponent of the season. I know they got an FBS. I think they're playing Southern Miss or one of those Mississippi schools, FBS schools. But I think that outside of that, this is going to be the tough one. Now, I think Jackson has a shot to beat Southern Miss or whoever they're playing, and have a legitimate shot to go undefeated. Like they have a legitimate shot to do it. So we'll see. Because I think there's word on the street is they might potentially be able to try to fund 105 scholarships, and if that happens, guys, I'm gonna let the rest of the SWAC know right now. Y'all ain't gonna be winning no championships for a while. Unless I'm just telling y'all that right now, it's gonna be a while. Because that means they pretty much can get the pick of the litter at that point.
Yep.
So
and
it's just so y'all know.
Because we see so many of these games, these Dave and Goliath games. A lot of times the first quarter or so is close, but once they start bringing in the 2s and the 3s and that difference in scholarships, that's where it makes the difference, and you start to see that drop off, from the starters to the 2s, and that's usually where you see the game start to open up. You can fund 105 in the SWAC, don't forget about it. The championship.
I'm like, I'm curious to see what they're like. I'm curious to see how many other programs within that conference goes over the 63 allocation. Like 63 is the allocation that FCS had. So I'm curious to see how many goes over that limit within the SWAC. I'm curious to see how many goes over in the OVC in the Big South and in the CAA and the MEAC. I'm fascinated to see who's going to go over that limit, go over 63 this upcoming year.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it a little bit last week, but I think in with this new landscape, we're going to see is who's really serious about collegiate athletics, not just fielding the team, but competing. If you want to, go beyond that, that 63 to that and beyond, that's where it's going to now for you not only compete but go to the next level. So, and I always said this is really where your athletic administrators, your athletic directors, they're going to earn their money. And if we're speaking of Jackson State, if there's one AD in the SWAC, but in HBCU football that can come up with a way to do it, to make it happen, it's Ashley Robinson. I have, confidence in him being able to do it, considering what he's been able to put together while he's there. So
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting with Title IX too, because if you're gonna add that many additional scholarships, that means you got to make sure you get some on the other side as well.
That is true.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I don't think everybody in the SWAC is gonna hit 105, Zordon. That ain't happening. There's some that barely can hit 63.
Mississippi Valley.
There's more than that.
So,
but the thing is,
I'm not trying to be petty today.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not.
Well,
But it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see who actually does go over that limit. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see. So we're gonna take another break. We're gonna take one more break. We're gonna go over your squad. We're gonna go over Tennessee State, man. We're gonna see how you feel about Tennessee State. We're gonna see how you feel about Tennessee State. The Big South OVC co-champion Tennessee State Tigers. So we'll be right back after this break.
Football fans, HBCU football is back in the ATL with the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge Kickoff. Representing the MEAC, North Carolina Central, and representing the SWAC, Southern, Eagles, Jaguars, the Marching Sound Machine, the Human Jukebox. The kickoff trophy is up for grabs, and bragging rights are on the line. The rivalry is real. Bring the family and join us pre-game for the fun-filled Coca-Cola fan experience, including band jamborees, food, activations, and fellowship. For tickets and information, visit MEACSWACTalents.com.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app. As we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture this.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Welcome back to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, episode 673. This is the Indy Report. All right, man. We're gonna start with these first two games in the docket. I know how you feel about the game against A&T. We already know how you feel about the game against A&T, but I just want to know, can you guys? You know what, man? Can you guys keep it competitive for one quarter against North Dakota State?
You know what? In best case scenario, yes. Best case scenario. Do I think it's going to happen? I do not. Maybe a couple of series. But I mean, last year that game got out of hand quick. It got out of hand quick.
So I remember when A&T went all the way out to Fargo for that game, man. And it was rough because I knew what squad we had when we scheduled that game initially. And then the pandemic happened and everything changed. And we had to move that game back 2 years. And I'm like, oh my, because the squad we had in 2020, I thought we had a puncher's chance against those guys. Like I was ready to fly out there. I thought we had a puncher's chance against those guys. And then the pandemic happened, roster turnover happens, portal, all that. And I'm like, oh. I mean, we had the front to compete with them. We had the running game to compete with them, but we had nothing else. So it was bad. At
least you had that. I don't think. I mean, last year, that was our best team in 20 years, and it got out of hand quick. and now you're coming back with a young team, you know, that you've lost. Like I said, most of the driving forces behind taking that team to the playoffs, and now you've got North Dakota State coming in game two. Last year was 52-3. I mean, if we could hold them under half a century and get in the end zone, I'll take it.
And look, man, when the way that they play, it is so physical, bro. Like it is so physical for the whole game, and it's like the most brutal 52-3 you'll ever see.
I mean, it's like you gonna feel this 52-3
Oh my
for all
god,
60
man!
minutes, man.
All right, Alabama A&M, which is a classic that you guys are bringing, a rivalry game you guys are bringing back, which is long overdue, by the way. So, how are you feeling about Alabama A&M? They got a new head coach too, in Sam Shade.
They do. I think this is gettable. You know, we ain't played since 2010. We won that game, but I mean, you can throw all that out the book, so it doesn't even matter. But I mean, they're in a similar situation. You could make the argument that they may be a little behind us in terms of we had, you know, even though we had a lot of talent walk out the door, I think we've brought in a little more perhaps than they have at this point. So I like our chances in that one. I think that's a gettable game for us. I would be shocked if A&M beat us.
Yeah, I think Sam
Really.
Shade needs. I think they need a year. All right, now we getting the OVC play now, man. How you feeling about the OVC this year from the standpoint? We can just because we're pushing on time. We probably got another 5 or so minutes, but how are you feeling about the OVC coming into this year? Like you're starting the conference playoff with Tennessee Tech, then you got Eastern Illinois, then you got SEMO.
Well, you look at we beat up on Eastern pretty bad last year. I think it might have been our home field. It was like 41-17. Um, I don't foresee while the game may be closer. I think that's another one that we can get. You know, SEMO has been, you know, one of the class of the OVC for several years. And I think that's probably they're going to be more so in contention for the OVC title, I think, than we are. So we're probably going to drop that one. Tech is going to be an interesting one. It's in-state, beat us. I look at this if we can go 2-1 would be ideal. I don't see us beating all three of these. I think we'll get Eastern. I think SEMO will get us, and Tech's a toss up, but I probably would lean more toward Tech beating us. I just think about so much last year, and and I know we're up against time, so this will fit into a lot of the game. So much of it was the defense really clamping down in the second half, um, and really allowing Draylen and the offense to kind of make up for lost ground. And considering what we lost on the defensive end, and Eric George, Sanders Ellis, um, we lost arguably our top corner. Um, we lost some other guys up front, so I don't know if we're going to have that I don't think we're going to have that margin for error, and so I think that's going to cost. So we'll probably go 1-2 during that 3-game stretch.
Okay. All right. I gotta hit the super chat too. Sadly, it's gonna be worse than last year. TSU won 9 games and had no shot. Now they got one returner. So yeah, it's gonna be that's brutal. Shout out to Johnny Thornton for the super chat. Does it cost HBCUs money to opt into the House versus NCAA? It's gonna cost HBCU money whether you opt in or opt out, from what I understand. So I think the cut is around $300,000 per team per school, from the settlement. So it is going to cost HBCU money from that aspect, whether you opt in or opt out. But you also got to take into account that when you opt in, you get to do revenue sharing if you have the revenue to share with your players. So that regard. So it kind of makes it a little bit more flexible from a standpoint of what you want to give to the players, and things of that sort. So the conferences just got to decide how they want to handle it. They want to let the schools do what they want to do, or they want to impose a limit. Some conferences are doing it differently than others. The SWAC did just announce that they're going to do it they're opting in, and there's not gonna be any roster limits. So we're gonna see how it goes, man. Here's your next 4 games, man. You got homecoming. You got homecoming against Howard. You got Western Illinois at home. You got 3 straight home games. That's pretty awesome. And you got Lindenwood
Yes.
at home.
So Howard's very winnable. Um, so I'm gonna thumbs up us with that one. We beat Western pretty bad last year. That is a team that's still kind of, I would say they're figuring it out. I anticipate them being better than they were last year. Um, I think we win that one, but it's a lot closer. Lindenwood has never beaten us. They may next season or this coming season. And Martin, I'm trying not to be over pessimistic, but I think we dropped that one too.
Uh,
Maybe at that point we would have gelled and can get by that one. But yeah, I'm trying not to be negative. This is gonna be a rough season. This is gonna be a rough season. Gardner Webb.
y'all should be able to beat Charleston Southern though.
That's probably the only one. I think Gardner Webb is gonna get us. But I'm always overly pessimistic when it comes. So looking at it, I don't think 5 wins. We could top out at 6. I think 6 was the ceiling, but I don't think 5 is out of the question. 4 is what I'm looking at. So 4 and 2 possible. Good space team.
Okay. Yeah, I'm texting my daughter. My daughter's taking the train back home today on her own, so I'm just making sure she's good to go. But yeah, she had orientation this week.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I went down there. I went down there with her Sunday. I took the train back on Monday because I had parent orientation on Monday, and then she stayed until today. So she's taking the train back today.
So look, when it comes time to drop her off when school starts, will you be a little misty eyed?
No, I'll tell you what though. I'll tell you a story before we close the show about this. So basically, the way they do it so my daughter's going to Hofstra. So the way they do it is that they tell everybody to go to the dorms. The parents, the kids, tell them to go to the dorm, right, where they're going to be staying. And the guy walked out, was like, I have good news. We're going to take good care of your kids. We're going to take good care of your students. But the bad news is y'all got to go. So please leave. Hug your child goodbye. If you want to leave them some money, you can. And they'll call you when it's time to pick them up. And so they told all the parents to go outside and leave the parents there and leave the kids in. Some of them parents were hurting. I tell you what. And it was like y'all orientation is in a completely different building on the other across the street at the student center.
Wow. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless you. Good night.
Yes, sir. So imagine like you show up at like 8. You show up at 8:45 in the morning. They tell you deuce bye. Your orientation is this way.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did get a phone call, and it's funny because like they were like, so one of the sessions they were talking about like how often have you reached out to your kids since you left them there? And I didn't. Like I was waiting to see when my daughter was going to call me or text me or whatever. And she didn't call me till Tuesday. And so I was like, if she and look, man, and I'm cool with that because my perspective has always been, if you ain't calling me, that means everything's good, everything's fine, you're having a blast. So enjoy it. Don't call me. She called me a lot today though, because she was trying to figure out the train situation today. So I told her, you're gonna do this one on your own, homie, because you gotta learn how to do this. Like this is what you gotta do. I'm not gonna keep driving down there to come pick you up every time you want to come home. You'll hop on that Amtrak. It's a 3-hour ride.
I can dig it.
But all right, man. Let's go ahead and close out this show.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you coming, sir.
always.
Absolutely. We're gonna get the pirate ship here at some point because I do want to have an NIL discussion with those guys. I know Tariq really wants to talk about it, so I want to get. He gotta quit being on assignment and show up. But
Yeah.
But before I close the show, I want to say something about premium prices, and then I'm gonna do the outro. Look, guys, if you guys ain't charging more for your big games, then you're doing it wrong. You should always charge more for your big games. You should always charge more for homecoming. You should always charge more for your rivalry games. That's just how it goes. Your home opener, you should charge more. Like, you should charge more for these games because those are in-demand games. You should charge more. People are going to be willing to pay it. Contrary to what you think, they will be willing to pay it. I mean, shoot. I went to Alabama State's homecoming last year. I spent over $200 for a ticket. And that's regular price. You should charge more for your premium games. There's nothing wrong with doing that. All right.
Yeah. What the big boys do.
That's what they do. Like, I don't know why. Like, if you value HBCU sports, you should not have a problem charging more for your games. Point blank, period.
I agree.
Oh, I missed the super chat. Hold on. Hold on.
All right.
Oh, two from the caller from TSU. Can you please schedule the school down the road? I can't say that. So, appreciate the super chat, Johnny. Y'all need to go schedule them, man. They seem like everybody. They think that everybody's ducking them. So, there's that.
Yes. Look, we take on all comers. Look,
obviously, y'all out here scheduling North Dakota.
Yeah. Look, I'm still campaigning to get Texas Southern on the schedule. You gotta have the battle of the real TSU.
You got to. I agree.
That's a built-in money game.
Yep, sure is. All right, let me go ahead and close out, man. Thanks for listening to Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I'm David L. Rhodes. Shout out to the Dean of HBCU Sports, Dr. J. Kenyatta Cavil, coming from Inside the Lab with my host, Brandon King. We hope you enjoyed. We look forward to you next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at ChampD1012 and follow Brandon King at SneakerShopTalk.com. Check out the articles he's out here writing in these streets, man. And make sure you follow Dr. Cavil on Dr. Kenyatta Cavil on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And make sure you follow the Facebook page Inside the HBCU Lab 1, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook, and Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk to you soon. Brandon.
Of course.
Lecture dismissed.
Dismissed.